My name is Coral Noonan-Terry, Associate Director of NYSOD, and welcome to another edition of NYSODcasts. These are informal conversations with leaders and practitioners in the field of higher education. And I am pleased to be joined by Gail Robinson. She's the Director of Service Learning for the American Association of Community Colleges. And Gail Jessen, Director of the Thain Center for Service and Learning at Salt Lake Community College in Utah. Mary Prentice, who's the Associate Professor for Educational Management and Development, New Mexico State University. And Whitney Rose, a student leader in civic engagement, also from Salt Lake Community College. So welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining us today. And I think many of our viewers would be surprised to learn that 2/3 of community colleges have academic-based service learning. So Gail, why don't you tell us a little bit how service learning got started?
Back in the early part of the 20th century, John Dewey really started the idea of experiential learning as the best way for students to learn, with a focus on democratic engagement and civic learning. So for community colleges, most of them got started in the 60s and 70s, really building into the early 1990s when federal funding got going. So since that time, AACC became involved in service learning in 1994 through a grant from the Learn and Serve America program of the Corporation for National and Community Service, a federal agency that has funded many service learning programs at colleges and universities across the country. So we have been able to do research that shows how many colleges, the 2/3 of colleges that you mentioned earlier, was based on surveys that we've done in the mid-90s into the early 2000s. So we see that that number is just growing as more colleges see the importance of service learning as a strategy for college completion and as a really great way for students to get career experience, job experience, and just help their communities as part of their coursework.
Thank you, Gail, for providing us with a brief history about service learning. Mary, why don't you tell us about the research on service learning and how service learning impacts learning and retention?
Well, the last 6 to 9 years of research that we've done in the American Association of Community Colleges has been very clear. Students' voices are very clear on this, that both qualitatively and quantitatively, students report that they learn more academic knowledge, learning outcomes knowledge. We look at institutional learning outcomes such as civic responsibility, communication, academic development and teamwork. Students who participate in service learning score higher statistically than students who are not service learning students. In addition to that, when we look at workforce skills, we've done some focus groups, and across the whole country, students are very clear that what service learning provides us with is an ability to experience their career before they enter their career, and they have an opportunity to have some safe success, some safe practice with it, where their instructors and the community partner are there to help shape their learning. They can make mistakes, and it's a safe environment for them to do so. And finally, with retention, we find that there are about 5 components of retention, that when students feel these 5 things, they're more likely to stay in school. And service learning certainly does lead to commitment to obtaining their educational goals. It leads to confidence about their being successful in their environment, their academic environment. Students who are involved in service learning report being more committed to other students and having more connections to faculty. And all of those things, certainly involvement in the community. And I think Vincent Tinto's work has shown us that students who feel those things are more likely to stay in school.
Thank you, Mary, for telling us about the research on service learning. And now let's talk about what's happening in community colleges, and specifically Salt Lake Community College. Sure. Gail, what is the Thain Center for Service and Learning?
The Thain Center for Service and Learning at Salt Lake Community College was established in 1994. So when Gail cited the history of the movement nationally, that's around when our center was established. Our formal service learning program, as far as designating courses, that happened in 2003, 2004. Service learning is only one of the pieces of the center, but to give you an idea of the scope of service learning and the way that it's grown, if I can refer to my statistics. In 2004, 2005, that's when we first started designating service learning classes and recognizing them in the schedule. And we had 497 students, and they served about 5,000 hours. And there were 4 classes. And just this past year, there were 5,500 students enrolled in service learning classes, over 250 classes with 66,000 hours of service in the community. So that's the growth that the Thane Center has seen from 2004 until now. And as far as the other programs in the office are concerned, we run a number of student leadership programs, the Community Work Study, America Reads program, AmeriCorps Education Awards, a number of national service programs. And so the Thane Center has a very broad scope, not just including academic service learning.
And Whitney, you're a student leader at Salt Lake Community College, so tell us what that's about.
I am. I'm a mentor for student leaders in civic engagement. And one of the exciting things about it is that we spend a lot of time in our community and going to the roots of any social issue that we have around us. We're not just handing out free food at the food bank. We're finding out why hunger is an issue, and we're finding out what we can do to change that. It also provides a lot of really good leadership opportunities for myself and other students. Really good stuff for not just a resume, but for interpersonal growth. My place of employment has really commented, and they've really appreciated the different skills and talents that I've brought already, and that's something that only benefits me. And the relationships that I'm able to build with people are very genuine and sincere. They're people who want to make change, and they're out to change the world, and we do it by collaborating with each other, and it's very much a realistic, don't give up approach, and it's really constantly exciting and engaging.
Great. Now I want to ask each of you, what piece of advice do you have about service learning?
I would tell any community college practitioner, faculty or staff who's interested in getting involved in service learning to develop true, deep reciprocal partnerships with the community. That's the most important thing, because it is an absolutely reciprocal relationship. It's not just the college and the students benefiting the community, but the community members and the community partners also, in effect, co-teaching courses and bringing the community relationship and the community perspective right into the classroom.
I would say to any staff who might be watching this and who might be interested in how to engage faculty in service learning, red light, green light, and yellow light faculty is a good way to look at it. Your green light faculty are the early adopters, and they are the prime people that can help you as peer advocates get other faculty involved. The yellow light faculty who might need a little bit of training and a little bit of coaxing, and it means more if it comes from their peers. So utilize faculty peer mentorships. And then there are red light faculty who just are not interested, and that's fine. It's optional for faculty to use this pedagogy. It's nothing that we would want to require, because if you don't believe in the pedagogy and believe in the theory of having students in the community, then it's probably best that you don't. But there are enough green light faculty that can support the yellow light faculty that's a good structure and a way to think about your programming. So.
I think when I think about faculty, I would suggest that you think almost as if service learning was an ocean, and what you're doing is stepping in one step at a time, and not to wait until you can completely swim 100% the length of the ocean, but plan. Think about how the course fits into, the service learning fits into your course competencies, and do it before you feel comfortable, because if you wait till you feel comfortable, that may never come. You really are going to be ready before you think that you're ready. So step into the ocean.
From a student's perspective, I would say the most beneficial thing has been the faculty and the staff that I've had the opportunity to work with. They do take a very democratic approach, and they get our input as students, and that sets a good example for me as a student to seek the opinion and input of my fellow students. So I would say keeping it very open in conversation, and making sure that you're incorporating a democratic environment for everybody. It just increases the amount everybody's able to learn, and it doesn't hold anybody back.
Thanks so much to each of you for discussing service learning with us today, and I hope that we've inspired some of you out there to incorporate service learning into your classrooms.